Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining another educational and information BAPAC meeting. I'm so happy to see you all. It's always a pleasure to have these Saturday meetings because we get to see all of our friends and make new friends. My name is Elise Pipkin Allen, and I am BAPAC's Vice Chair. We also have another Vice Chair who's Ken Marlborough, and hopefully he'll get on with us today. So are there any other board members, elected officials, or people representing them online with us? If so, could you please raise your hand so I can acknowledge you? And I don't see, oh, Bruce is here. Hey, Bruce, do you want to give a little shout out to Monica? Oh, he can't hear me, huh?
Here I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Greetings, everyone. Bruce Williams on behalf of Councilmember Monica Montgomery Stepp. Good to be with you on today. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, today we have a twofold mission. First, we're going to hear about redistricting, which is extremely important. Barry Pollard, who is the founder and president of the Urban Collaborative Project, is here with us, and Layla Aziz, who is the director of operations for Pillars of the Community. She'll be joining us later. Barry is going to share some maps with us and get us up to date on what's happening at the city. And he'll answer a lot of our questions, such as what is redistricting and why should we care about it? How are the city and the county lines drawn? What's gerrymandering? How do we avoid gerrymandering? And how do we, in the next 10 years, what are we going to do to keep our district whole and keep it Black? So Barry's going to start out telling us about that. Barry, you're on. I can't hear Barry.
Barry's muted.
I said it's good morning. And I said I'm going to start with the maps, and it's going to be the city maps. But if there's any questions as we're going through this, just raise your hand. I'll call on you. You know, this is we've done this a bit. This mapping process with the city is very fluid. So let me start off by asking if there are any questions before I get going. I'm going to assume that is a no. I do not see any person in the chat room. So let me tell you what you're looking at. Everyone can see the map, I'm assuming. Okay, so the lighter green is City Council District 4. What color is that? Sort of reddish color is District 9. And the darker green is District 3. Those are the district, and this down here is District 8. This area here. Okay, does that make sense? Now, District 8 also goes really south down here to San Isidro. You see this, where Imperial Beach is? That's part of District 8. Now, this has always been an issue in the city because this is not contiguous. Contiguous is basically side by side and some borders touch. My prognosis is at the next time we do this, this is going to be City Council District 10. So keep that in mind. So let's focus on where all of the activity seems to be going. As you noticed, one of our biggest accomplishments, our biggest goals in this city redistricting process was to regain some of the population we lost at the last redistricting process 10 years ago. 10 years ago, District 9 was trying to become what they call a majority-minority district, which gives them the right to reasonably expect that they can elect a city council person that looks like them. So we gave them enough census tracts to select their own Latinx city council person, and that's where Georgette Gomez came in, right? She was the first one after Marty Emerald, and then Georgette took over. We allowed her, or allowed that district to elect one, because we gave over pretty much a lot of Mount Hope and some of Mountain View. So this process this year is trying to regain the population. So what we decided to do was we got a core group of people and started to ask questions like, what do we want our district to look like in 10 years? And we all agreed that we wanted to maintain, if not improve, the diversity. We wanted to include a population that's high propensity voters. We wanted to get more homeowners in, right? We wanted to get certain things that we outlined from the very beginning so we wouldn't be flexible and bouncing off the walls trying to decide who and where do we want to regain our population from. So we picked a couple of areas. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. So those of you that know this community, here's Oak Park in here. This is Choyas Parkway. This is Home Avenue, right here where the hand is going back and forth. Those of you that remember Chiquita's restaurant was right in here. So our new border is going to be Home Avenue, which includes the communities of Ridgeview, which is right in here. And it is this sliver from Federal, follow my hand, right in here. This is Ridgeview area. Now, to get your frame of reference, Pastor Gary's church is right about in here. This is their lot, their parcel right here. So we're close, right across from Home Avenue, we have new creation. So that should give everybody an idea of what areas we're talking about now. Now, there's some important things to acknowledge as we move forward is there's going to be job opportunities in about 5 or 6 years right in this area for about 500 to 600 people. And that is that MTS is opening up a station over here. For all electric buses, no pollution. We're looking at going vertical rather than horizontal. So it's not going to have a big footprint, but that brings over close to 500 to 600 jobs of all types. So we'll talk about that at future meetings coming up. And matter of fact, I think Peter may be scheduled to come and talk to you folks. If not, I'll get him on the schedule so we could, you guys could ask him questions about what's going on with MTS these days. They're in our community now, thank God. So when we look at this, we have some numbers. Let me move this over. There you go. So the goal we're trying to reach is about 154,000. Here it is here, 154,433 people per city council district. It's not any big formula, you guys. We took the population of the city of San Diego, divided it by 9. And so our goal is to get as close to that as possible. We don't need to get right on the money, but what we need to do is have a variation of less than 3 to 4%. And I think we're about 2. You see the deviation right now for all 3 of our little efforts, which we are working as a coalition. We have only a 3.62 variation, right? That's pretty damn good. So then you get to a point, we could keep trimming this up, and I think there's going to be a little bit more trimming to do, but we're good. We don't need to touch anything. And that's the argument we're coming in with the final maps that are going to be offered to us later this week from the commission. Now, the commission's job is not to draw lines. The commission's job is to be a referee, so to speak. That makes sense? Mm-hmm. These folks are supposed to be from every city council district. We already are getting a little issues popping up with this process because we've had a commissioner from District 6 have to resign. Yeah. Now, you guys, the last 2 rounds I've been involved with this, I've never heard anyone that has resigned. That means, according to the paper, he was making, he just crossed the line about supporting one map over another. That is not allowed to happen. They are not supposed to be making judgments about what map they think would be the best. That is not looking at the city as a whole. So that's why I said it is the job of the commissioners to be a referee. That is why communities south of 8, and I'm going to blow this up again. If you notice, we are all south of 8. Here's I-8 right in here. So we had to get close to 5,000 to 6,000 votes in order to get to our desired population, you guys. If you notice, we have Chula Vista, National City, Lemon Grove, and La Mesa on the east of us. We can't go over there. Our only actions that we had to take was to dip into D9. So that's why we took Ridgeview. We took a little bit of Mount Hope. We held on to, Mountain View. Yes, we still have ECC, Ellen. And so that didn't change much. What did change, and this is the most recent, this is Mount Hope. Oops, sorry about that. Okay. We had to let go of all of Mount Hope. Our first map was getting us about right here where Diane Moss's garden was. But as we started to move and shift things around, and this was planned, we had Mount Hope scheduled to go back into District 9. They're there now. In other words, nothing's changed. What has changed here, nothing changed. We have Jackie Robinson Y. We have Mount Airy. We have Home Depot. We have the medical school. We've got ECC. And the boundaries are probably on that street called Boundary Avenue. Okay? Now, we do have some surfacing issues in Rolando Park, right up in here, and Redwood Village. So now we're in the process of maintaining our line. These folks, to be blunt, they don't want to stay in District 4. We moved them over the last go around, and it was ugly, you guys. A lot of lies and a lot of exaggerations and a lot of fear mongering surfaced throughout this process. People thought from those communities that if they were going to be part of District 4, that their insurance rates were going to change. They thought they would have to change school districts. Now, none of those things occur in any type of redistricting effort. I literally had to bring in a white insurance adjuster to speak to 200 families at Kroc Center that they would not have their rates go up because they're now part of District 4. So just sit back and think about how fear motivates people. I had little moms, white moms, crying. Sincere tears that they were afraid because of what they heard would happen if they became part of D4. So that same residue is still acting up here. So what we're doing now is getting BIPOC people that live in those communities to start speaking up about diversity and about staying in District 4. So that's an ongoing issue. We won't know for sure probably for another month or so, another month or 2 or 3, yeah, about another month. And I honestly don't know which way it's going to go. You know, we're trying to get a better handle on the commissioners. We have one that represents us in D4. So, you know, he will be standing up and looking after us. And we also take a look at this coalition once more, because this is now about, you guys, minor shifts and voters of the commission. Who's going to be voting and siding with our coalition? Well, you look at this, one could say right away, we've got 1 vote, 2 votes, 3 votes, 4 votes, right? So that's just the coalition of South. So up here in District 6 and 7, which is like Linda Vista, UCSD, all of those districts are fighting over a Asian majority district. And so that's where most of the conversation is going. Ours is boring this time. The only thing that's making this semi-interesting from D4 is what Rolando and Redwood Village is trying to do. But most of the activity is going on around UCSD, District 6. Keep in mind, the commissioner that was asked to, or that resigned, is out of District 6, right? So it's already starting to get a whole lot of scrutiny up in that area. And those are with UCSD Asian students wanting to be included. And there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of excitement. That was started the last go around. So this is just a continuation of it. And as I mentioned, that probably South Bay is going to have a District 10. This is where all the activity is going to be next go around. It's right down there, because that means it's going to cause a whole lot of shifts. So I hope that makes some sense. Are there any questions that anyone has about anything?
Barry?
The commissioner that resigned was Mitzi Lee. M-I-T-Z-I, Lee. She is the only representative from District 6, and not sure if that hurts us. So read in between the lines. Not sure if that hurts us. I don't think it does. I think it helps us. I know Mitzi, and I know her political history. So I didn't lose any sleep over that. Ellen?
No, I have a question regarding the formula, because you talked about the numbers. Could you explain to the audience the criteria and rationale behind the numbers, balancing the numbers?
Other than the fact that we took those 9 districts and divided the population of the city of San Diego, that's how we came up with the numbers. And how we adjust this, you guys, we have tools.
Okay, so the goal is that everything is equal?
Within a deviation.
So my question is, the goal is that there's a balance in every district. Okay, all right. Okay, I just thought it would be important for folks to understand the importance of those numbers. It's really about equity in terms of representation by district.
Yeah, and Elise, you have a question?
Yeah, Barry, would you talk to them about the communities of interest and tell us how we can help you?
Absolutely, good question. Communities of interest are things that we design as residents that we cherish. You know, I could tell you the communities of interest, and let's focus on the 2 communities that want to leave. Rolando Park. Rolando Park has College Grove. College Grove is one of our biggest economic engines in our district. that's going to be a hard sell for them to move. So that would be an economic community of interest, right? We also have the only and the first African-American, not only, but one of the only African-American press organizations. The Voice and Viewpoint is headquartered in Rolando Park. Those are communities of interest. In other community areas, we have the Jackie Robinson Y. Sometimes community of interest, Elise, are canyons, are churches, schools, anything that we consider treasures of our community, athletic fields, parks, anything that we can identify as treasures. And I like using the words treasures more so than communities of interest, because people can connect the dots with treasures, right? Because they're so
about,
ECC is a treasure.
Elementary Institute of Science.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything in any community that we see our people going to, there's a history. ECC, it's going to be hard to ever move that because of their civil rights tie-in. You know, that's perpetually going to be associated with African Americans in our community. So that's where we are now. It is important that we participate. How people can help is, if you're interested, this is called the Unity Map. And so there are links that we can provide for you and maybe put in the chat before we end today. Just write a letter, tell them who you are, and that you're part of BAPAC. And if you live in this community, add that, and let them know you're 100% behind the Unity Map involving communities south of 8. And they'll know exactly what that is. And because now comes the lobbying piece, Elise, now comes butts in the seats virtually, speaking in support of this map. Now, I could tell you Rolando Park is going to have their little turnout, but I want us to drown them out. So I guess I would really love if everybody, at least on this call, writes a letter. We can give you the talking points. And all you need to do is send it vis-a-vis an email to the commissioners and let them know. And it doesn't take a lot of effort. And I mean, we joined, these organizations like BAPAC because we are actively involved, and we want to get actively involved. So I'm asking you to write a letter. I will send to Ellen and to Elise some talking points. And all you need to do is to just cut, paste, send it in, and that's your community engagement issue for the week. And that will go a long, long way. Ellen, you got a question?
Yeah, I do. You speak to the Unity Map, and I believe this is a historic moment and movement on the part of this coalition that was built around the Unity Maps. Can you speak to that a little bit? I think that's really a first, and how that came together, how we all came together in unity.
Yeah, I tell you, the concept started really in 2010. And that was formed because we really wanted to do D9 a solid by letting them have their Latinx empowerment district. And so I knew there was something that was coming up, Ellen, out of D9 this time around. And so, we were the ones that basically had the cowbell ring. And then there were some business people. Now, look at my air quotes, everybody, when I'm using the term business people, up in the Kensington Talmadge area, El Cajon Boulevard, that wanted to come out with their own map that literally chopped District 9 off right in here where Euclid is. You see where my little hand is going across? Okay, they wanted their growth this way and this way. That knocked off roughly about 40% of the Latino vote. All this would be gone if we were to get the mid-city business map. And I think that's called stacking, you guys. They're stacking all minorities back into D4 and back into D8. All right? That means that is keeping our voting power controlled and contained. It will keep minority empowerment 2 districts, 8 and 4, rather than 8, 9, and 4.
Mm-hmm.
You got it? Okay. I'm not an election attorney, but that seems like the definition of stacking to me. So between you and me and the fence posts, I sent a copy of this to ACLU, asking them to take a look at this proposal and see if they find any election-related problems. Right? You can't just automatically slice it off, take all the Latinos and pump them in 8 or 4. Especially that would be transitioning a minority-majority district back to a white district.
Isn't that like gerrymandering?
That is the key definition of gerrymandering, right? They're trying to shuffle the borders for political reasons and for racial divisions, right? Mm-hmm. So those are the things we're looking for now. Like I said, letters to the commission, and I will definitely get the talking points and the email address of who to send your letters to. I want them to get at least 24 letters from us in support of the unity map.
Barry, can you put that in the chat? The information, or would you rather not?
Well, what I think, I need to pull talking points from different documents to send here because ours is going to be slightly different.
Okay, just send it to BAPAC. Just send it.
Yeah,
to
that's what I was going to do, is send it to you guys, and then you guys can send it out and encourage people. Look, all they really got to do, man, is copy, paste, and send it. They have nothing more to do. It would take them less than 5 minutes to do that. And it'll be rewarded by us not losing any representation or numbers or having to choose areas that we don't want to choose from. And our role as a coalition was to come up with maps. We have done that. We have done that. So there is no reason for them to mess with this at all. At all.
Yeah, are there any questions or anything?
I have one, Elise, if that's possible.
Yes.
Thanks, Barry. I appreciate all the work that you've done on this. I have 2 questions. One is, I couldn't tell if the Charles Lewis Park under the Unity map returns to District 4.
It does.
It does? Okay, yes. Great. And the other one was, I happen to staff the Redwood Village and Rolando Park communities, and one of their reasons for wanting to consider changing is University Avenue,
right?
And the fact that it hasn't gotten quite the attention because one side of University Avenue, the north side, is D9, and the south side is D4, and because the two can't come together, University Avenue in that part of town is not so it's not, as good as it could be. And so they want to maybe come together so that University Avenue would be in one district, and maybe the funding and, get more attention that way. But if we do lose it, does it make sense for us to go west? And because you mentioned historical sites, to go west and capture our Black churches back there. I mean, I'd love to have Calvary Baptist and Bethel AME and Trinity Baptist. Those are some historic churches. The old Clay over on Clay Street, Bethel Baptist. I'm wondering what sense does it make to try and incorporate those churches into a District 4? Because I work for D4 right now, and we get a lot of calls and questions from our church that are not in our district. They feel like they're not getting what they want. So those are my two questions.
I'm not sure, and I don't know this, but I don't want you to get in trouble.
I'm not supposed to. I know.
Okay.
I'm here as Bruce.
Yeah. Well,
that's just what I was thinking.
I'm a little cautious to even get up close to that line.
Okay. All right.
So thank you for your comments.
Maybe someone else had the same question.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
And thank you, Barry. If no one else has any questions.
Barry,
Yep.
Remember, I raised Bruce's concerns. Remember, I raised those questions, those concerns a couple of times.
Early on.
They're on the record. All right. Thank you.
Early on.
I have a question. When you said vote 1, 2, 3, 4, what did you mean by that? You said we have 1 vote, 2 votes, 3 votes, 4. Is that 4 out of so many?
Oh. There are 9 commissioners.
Okay, and 4 voted for?
Well, I'm saying that we have one for every area that the coalition is covered in. So we have a representative from 4.
Mm-hmm.
We have a representative from 9 on the commission, from 3 as well as 8.
Okay.
Well, I'm just naturally assuming, since their communities have come together with a map, they will be voting for this map.
Okay, gotcha.
Right? And so the only ones I don't know are this could get, the only way that could fail, let me tell you, is we got 4 that votes for it, 4 that votes against it, and I think the chairperson should be the one that makes their deciding vote. I don't think it's going to be that close. I am hopeful that one of our 4 commissioners can influence at least one of those folks. I could tell you that we are probably going to get a support. Now I'm just brainstorming, so hang with me for a second. We could probably get some support from District 1 or 2, right? Because we decided to move, right where my arrow is, north to Mission Valley instead of Midway. Our first attempt was to go this way, but since we made a conscious decision to leave Midway alone, they're going to support the hell out of this map. They don't want District 3 to go over here. They love it that we stopped right there. These people may have some problems, but not big enough. It's not a population stuff, right? That's Mission Valley. It's got hotels. And so if anything, they have an economic engine going down here, right? So theoretically, that will be the vote that'll take us over. If we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we should be good.
Okay. Thank you.
That's just looking at numbers, and that thought hit me that we have been getting support from D2 about our map in the calls. So.
Okay, Barry.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
You're welcome. And thank you, Barry. It's been really an eye-opener for a lot of people who haven't heard about redistricting before. And I'm hoping that everyone will take your advice and write a letter and get a friend to write a letter and get people in your church to write a letter. so that our Unity map will stay as it is.
Yep.
I appreciate you, Barry.
I will put that together and try to get it to you guys while you're still on the call, okay?
Thank you.
So let me go. I'll get started with it. And thank you all very much. And you guys have my contact information if you have any questions, okay?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. And next, we will have the Mesa City Council Forum. And the person who is going to be our moderator today, it's her first time doing something from BAPAC, and we're really happy to have her. BAPAC likes for people to know that people who are speaking to us are highly qualified and they're subject matter experts, and we certainly have one with Attorney Yahara Aristi. Did I say that right? Great. I have a little bit of information I want to tell you about her today. She is a dedicated community leader and attorney committed to ensuring humanity is preserved in society. Yahara has served as criminal defense lawyer since 2005 at the San Diego County Public Defender's Office, where she is committed to providing the finest legal representation to the clients entrusted to her. For over 15 years, she has been dedicated to being of service to her clients to ensure their humanity is considered in the checks and balances of the criminal justice system in a variety of cases ranging from murder to theft. She earned her JD from Thomas Jefferson School of Law and a Master of Arts in Clinical Psychology from Roosevelt University. Yahara also devotes her time to advancing women and diversity in the community. She serves as the 2021 president of Lawyers Club of San Diego. She's the first deputy public defender and Dominican American to do that. She served as the 2019 president of the Earl B. Gilliam Bar Foundation, and I know you all have heard of that. She was a founding member of the revival of the National Women Political Caucus San Diego chapter and served as vice president and chair of the Political Action Committee. Yahara also served as treasurer for Transcendence Youth Art Project. And with that, I introduce you to our moderator, Yahara Aristi.
Thank you so much, Elise, for that kind introduction. And thank you to you and Ellen Nash, the chair of BAPAC San Diego, and you serving as a wonderful vice chair. You all have been wonderful to collaborate with as we prepare for this voter education forum. So thank you for your extraordinary work. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us, whether you are here on the Zoom or you are watching us on Facebook Live. It is great to be joined by you, so thank you for joining us. It is my privilege to serve as moderator for today's program, which is graciously sponsored by BAPAC San Diego. The purpose of this nonpartisan convening is to give all people, especially Black voters and the Masons, the opportunity to hear from candidates who are seeking to represent us, the Masons, as a La Mesa City Council member. Now, before we get to hear from them, I'm going to tell you a little about what La Mesa City Council members do and why who you decide to vote matters. One, La Mesa City Council members represent La Masons on SANDAC, the San Diego Association of Governments, which serves as a forum for decision-making across the county. Also, they represent us on the San Diego Metropolitan Transit System Board, which is designed to drive sensible regional transportation plans. You hear me say us because I am a La Mason resident and have been for over, oh my God, I can't even remember. It's been that long. So it's been a long time, since 2006, I believe. So we have to keep that in mind. What else are our council members important? Why else? Council members help the city's progress on issues such as climate change, public safety, health, education, housing, police reform. So as you can see, this election is really a big deal with effects far beyond the La Mesa borders. All candidates for the special election to be held on November 2nd, 2021 were invited to participate. We've had 2 out of the 6 candidates who have graciously accepted to participate, and I will introduce them to you momentarily. This is a seat that was vacated by the Honorable and Extraordinary Dr. Keila Weber, who now represents us as Assembly Member of Assembly District 789. So some big shoes to fill. I don't know that they can wear her shoes, but they certainly can work really hard to try. Now, so I am pleased to introduce to you now the 2 candidates who have graciously agreed to speak with us. This is an alphabetical order, and I'm going to start. And unfortunately, I may not pronounce your names correctly. If I mispronounce, please forgive me. Mejan Afshan. I'm not sure if that's correct. When you do your opening statement, please just say it for us so we can hear it again. And Megan is co-founder of Borderlands for Equality, a pro bono civil rights nonprofit and founder of the East County Justice Coalition Group, dedicated to addressing inequity and racial justice. Marjan regularly conducts workshops about effective advocacy, correlation building, and dismantling misogyny. Welcome. Next, we have Patricia Dillard. She serves as Vice Chair of the Community Police Oversight Board for the City of La Mesa. She is also a La Mesa businesswoman and minister's wife, active in the Church of Christ, and works to advance women and minority-owned businesses. Now, welcome to you as well. Now, the format. The candidates each will have 2 minutes to make opening statements. Then they will have a series of questions to answer, and they will have 1 minute to respond. When the time is up, at the end of the minute, I will gently say time. And please stop when you hear the word gently said, okay? Now, we have a lot of questions to get through. Now, where did the questions come from? These questions are the result because we conferred with local subject matter experts and community residents to compile the questions. None were provided to the candidates beforehand. Time permitting, we will take audience questions after our planned Q&A. And now, why does this matter? Why is this voter education forum important? It is because La Mesa voters, and particularly Black and African voters, are interested in knowing more about the candidate's commitment to serving all La Mesa residents and the African American community in particular in an equitable manner, and their positions on other matters that are vital to our well-being. When we cast our ballots, we need to know we're voting for the person who will best represent our interests wisely, fairly, and equitably. So please, candidates, expect some tough questions. There, with that, we welcome you and thank you again for joining us, to you all, our guests and our candidates. Now, we have to flip a coin as to who's going to go first. So I am going to just keep it in alpha order for now. Mejan, if you can tell me if you want heads or tails, please.
Heads, please.
And that leaves you with tails, Patricia. I'm not a good flip coin person, but here we go. It landed on heads and it muted me. So heads have it. And with that, the computer knew I will be muted. Marjan, you have 2 minutes. Please begin.
Thank you so much, Ahira, and of course, Ms. Pipkin Allen and Ms. Nash and everybody part of BAPAC for having us today. My name is Mejgan Afshan. I am the daughter of Afghan refugees who resettled in San Diego, first in City Heights, actually in the college area. I went to Henry Clay Elementary School, actually, so I know all about that area Mr. Pollard was talking about, and moved in the 5th grade to La Mesa. and have been a 30-year resident of La Mesa. I attended La Mesa Middle School, Helix High School, as well as Grossmont College before I transferred to San Francisco State. And it's important to understand that I've lived in the district for, that's been my residence for over 30 years. And we co-founded our pro bono civil rights nonprofit called Borderlands for Equity last January, and is based in La Mesa. And we serve those who have been discriminated against with my civil rights and immigration attorney, who have been discriminated against on the basis of race, gender, religion, ethnicity, and sexual orientation. And we work with young students, especially those in the communities that are Black and Brown, being marginalized community members. And as a woman of color, I know how difficult it's been the past several years and decades in San Diego. Having grown up, I'm raised by two parents that are lifelong union members. My father is a part of the MTS San Diego trolley, as well as my mother working for Kaiser. We know what struggle means. When we came to San Diego, we lived in a studio apartment and were able to work our way up. We have never taken advantage of public benefits, but as a actual Democrat and as a 20-year active Democratic Party member, I know that public benefits help our community when they're struggling. And it's also important to know that I am the only endorsed candidate by the San Diego County Democratic Party and the Sierra Club, as well as the San Diego Progressive Democratic Club, the AAPI Democratic Club. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have Patricia Dellard.
Hello there, and thank you for having me speak first to the president, the vice president of BAPAC. Thank you again for inviting me, and Yahara. Hey, so nice to see you on this forum. I have been a member of the La Mesa community for over 25 years. My husband and I purchased our home and raised our 3 children here in La Mesa. And I have always been a contributor to my community, both as a minister's wife, working in the church, helping African Americans especially purchase homes and help with their family members. Most currently, as Yahara mentioned, I am the vice chair for the Community Police Oversight Board. This is going on 2 years now. First, designing all the ordinance and everything that was needed to get it passed through City Council. So I've been working with the City Hall, with the City Council, and also with the La Mesa Police Department to really focus on the issues that we're dealing with, not just here in La Mesa, but beyond, as I'm sure a lot know, is that we don't have a police department that has been appropriately disseminating who they police. And we have a very small percentage of Black and Browns in La Mesa, but for some reason, they're the highest percentage of traffic stops and arrests here in La Mesa. So we have a lot of work to do. And I have worked hard to try to bring, equity to the police department, as well as many other issues that we're facing here. Transparency. Okay. I'm sorry. Also, too, being a native of San Diego, I'm well aware. Okay.
Thank you both for your informative opening statements. We're now going to get to the questions. Question number 1. And at this point, I am going to just switch it up. So from alpha order, but starting, we've already heard from Majan introduced first, and now I'll start with Patricia. What does the statement Black Lives Matter mean to you? And if you believe in the statement, can you give us 1 to 2 examples of how that belief is manifested in your personal or professional actions? Patricia?
You know, there's been a lot of incidents across the nation, and I believe the organization started in, I want to say 2013. I could be wrong about that year. But there's been so many people who have been unfortunately murdered, legally murdered, as a result of racism and prejudice in their community across the nation. That's what Black Lives Matter means to me as far as this unnecessary killings. But this has been going on for years and years and years. It's nothing new. The only thing that is new now is that people get to view it right on video because people fortunately pull out their phone and videotape cops and others murdering Blacks across the nation. As far as for myself, I have 3 Black children.
Thank you, Patricia. And yes, the advent of the videos is definitely helping identify the issue. Marjan?
Thank you so much, Yahira. It's a very good question. Black Lives Matter means everything to me because I am part of supporting on-the-ground work happening in San Diego and across the state of California. I have shown up for the past 4 to 5 years when we had our Black and Brown community members shot down in these streets. And as a legal observer, I have continued to show up to support, even throughout the craziest moments of last year, our community members. When Black and Brown civil rights leaders have called me to show up, I have put myself in harm's way, and I will continue to do so because we need to do better by all of our residents, not just in La Mesa, but across this county and across this country. And so that's why we as Borderlands for Equity and as an individual who believes in Black Lives Matter knows that we need to continue to bring awareness to this issue, not just in La Mesa, but across our county. And I continue to work with our Black Lives Matter leaders.
Time. Thank you so much, Marjan. And along the same thing, you showed up. So we've heard the theme on this. It's the videos are helping and physically being there. Thank you both. Next question. And I will start with Marjan. Explain some of your thoughts on how we can address the ever-shifting demands of the pandemic with regards to public health and safety for the community of La Mesa. Its constituents, including people who live, work, or go to school here. What measures do you feel are helping and where can we do better as a city?
Absolutely. That's a wonderful question. I will continue to work with council members like Vice Mayor Jack Hsu, who has endorsed me from the very beginning when I first announced our race as the first candidate. And I just want to point out that I did call Dr. Akilah Weber when I decided to run for office in April, the day after she won her wonderful seat. And I continue to support Dr. Weber as well as Dr. Shirley Weber in all the work that we have built in coalition specifically around police reform, as well as making sure to ban the chokehold. So when it comes to the equity of the vaccine, one of the things we have to continue to do is to create more opportunities for our disadvantaged and our marginalized communities to receive the booster shot. And if they haven't received the second or first shots for the vaccine, we need to be able to work with them and make sure that whether it's in our areas where near its schools or near businesses or near folks that have not been able to access this, I want to.
Thank you, Marjan. And I think your keyword was opportunities, creating opportunities for vaccinations. Patricia, with that, we'll turn it back to you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, vaccines are, there's a lot of reasons why people are not taking the vaccine. I have tried to encourage the African American and Brown community, especially because the rates of them dying at a higher rate are of in particular interest to me. So what I've done is spread the word throughout my church, and it has expanded over into making sure that people do get vaccinated and encourage the ones that are afraid. Some of them are afraid just simply for the shot. That's it. They're afraid of the shot, getting the shot. And others have different issues out of just receiving misinformation. And so, we have to do more, but we have to continue to encourage people to get vaccinated. And we have to do that in a variety of ways. Thank you.
And think you both hit the nail on the head. We got to create opportunities, but also couple that with education of the importance. So thank you both. Number 3, in what ways have you already engaged in making La Mesa a better place to live, work, and or do business? Patricia, we'll start with you.
Oh, so many ways. Back in 2019, I'm going to just pick a couple of recent ones. 2019, I was the chair of the Christian Women's Seminar, the annual Christian Women's Seminar for the Church of Christ. And I made sure that I contacted every person of color that wanted to support for the vendors that I needed for La Mesa. So I had the event at the La Mesa Community Center, and we had over 10 vendors that attended and were able to be supported by over 200 women that came from all across the country to attend this event. I have done countless things with the community. I serve as the vice chair. That's been going on for almost 2 years now. There has been a lot of activity, plus the fact that I have 3 children that were raised here and went to school here, always supporting the teachers and the community on a regular basis.
Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.
Megan?
I know my name is a little bit tricky because, it is a Farsi name, but it's kind of like Dijon. So Mejgan.
Oh, got it.
Remember that.
Mejgan, got it.
That helps folks. It helps me when I have a name association. So the question, I'm sorry, could you read the question again? My apologies.
In what ways have you already engaged in making La Mesa a better place to live, work, and or do business?
So it's not just a campaign slogan. Our equitable policy platform that we're working on isn't just about this campaign. I've been doing this work for over 5-6 years actively in our community. And so just the past 2 years since we founded Borderlands for Equity in La Mesa, we have conducted dozens and dozens and dozens of wonderful workshops and teach-ins and online events to welcome community members to build more equity. The last event we had for East County, specifically focusing on La Mesa, was an equitable policy workshop that had over 200 participants, folks like leaders in our community like Buki Domingos, folks like Council Member Jack Hsu, Dr. Darwin Fishman, both heads of the Racial Justice Coalition, and even more folks that I can't list right now. And so it's critical that we have Black and Brown people.
Hi, thank you. You've both been very busy. Next question. What are your top 3 issues in order of importance that you plan to work on as La Mesa City Council member? And Meshkan, we'll begin with you.
Sure. Thank you for that question. The first thing is we are going to be focusing on making sure to continue police reform and making sure to fund permanently the police oversight board and make sure that there's an independent auditors that will continue to hold our police officers accountable. The second, we absolutely want to fulfill our climate action goals for 2035 and making sure we show up for our community and leave a better community and cleaner community and greener community for generations to come, whether you have children or not. And then lastly, we want to absolutely expand the wraparound services for the for our houseless siblings who are suffering on our streets. And we know this pandemic has not created inequity. It has only revealed the inequity our communities have been dealing with for the past several decades. And the number of people in our streets has only increased. And finally, we want to find, I know it's not 3, but the third one, I have a little bit more time, is to make sure we find a permanent home for our public library, La Mesa Library, and we create an arts and technology hub to provide free 5G wireless for all of our La Mesa residents. And
thank you. Great priorities. Patricia?
Yes, thank you for the question. My priorities are, number one, we have a serious homelessness issue out here, and we need to reach out and communicate with other nonprofit homeless organizations that already are our experts, and continue the home program that we actually have here in La Mesa that is on the website for the city of La Mesa. And criminal justice reform, of course, because that is something that is a big passion of mine, raising 3 Black children. That's a different issue. It's a different story than other people's stories. And I won't get into that, but I will say that we have to focus on our minorities and make sure that we take care of them. And the homelessness and the criminal justice reform definitely correlate around those 2 issues. And then public safety. We have to have, clean streets, streets that are not, that need sidewalks and that have
time. Okay. Thank you. You all came ready with your priorities. Thank you. Next question. Now, not a trick question. We just asked you your top 3 priorities. What is now your number 1 priority on day 1 and how come? Patricia?
Number 1 priority is to make sure that I stay with my communication with the La Mesa Police Department. We have got to continue on with the hard fight that I helped start in regards to reform with the La Mesa Police Department. So I plan on continuing that, just in a different capacity, because I won't be able to serve on the board any longer. And just so you know, I'm the one that helped not just do those ordinance, but also hire the independent police auditors, which are not paid by the La Mesa Police Department, and will continue to help bring transparency and equity to our community. So that's the number 1 priority. After that, it's going to be all about homelessness. We need to connect with our faith-based communities as well as the nonprofit organizations and move that forward and try to create grants and ways for those organizations to have more resources so that we can help address the homelessness issue. Thank you.
I love you guys are hearing the chime. It's great. All right, Neshgan, your turn.
Thank you for that question. And on the first day, when I do win this seat, I look forward to implementing our first ever equitable policy reform, which will be the implementation of cultural sensitive training for not just all the officers at La Mesa Police Department, all the administrative staff that works for the police, as well as the entire La Mesa city government. We don't have anything that exists like that. And it's important to understand that we need to create a change in communication and tone of how our police officers and our staff at the city interact with all people, both Black and brown. As a woman of color, born in Afghanistan and very, very familiar with racism growing up in City Heights and La Mesa, and a person who has been awarded the 2019 Ashley L. Walker Civil Rights Social Justice Award in front of thousands of my colleagues in San Diego, it is critical that we hold our La Mesa City Council and Police Department and government accountable and re-educate them on how to communicate with our Black and brown community members. And I take this very seriously. And regardless of the outcome of this race, we will bring this equitable agenda.
Thank you, Meshgan. Then let's see. Next one we have is going to be Meshgan. How will you help the city diversify the city's boards and commissions? And if you just give me 1 sec, I'm multitasking here. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I think it's imperative that we create a survey to be able to see what exactly the breakdown is. And I have already been working with more than half a dozen young people of color, both Black and brown, in La Mesa to be able to hopefully either run for a board or a commission, or hopefully in the future run for office for La Mesa City government, part of our campaign has been to train women of color, especially young Black and brown women, to run. And I just had a wonderful sit-down conversation with Malik Thornton, the youngest active Democrat in the Democratic Party, who's only 19 years old. And as a young Black man, we know the future of our party is in the youth. And we have to absolutely help them, not just train them, but guide them and support them in their growth, and hopefully recruit them for these boards and commissions if they're open to and have capacity for this type of event or this type of responsibility. But also—
Thank you. Time. Next, now we'll turn it over to Patricia.
Yes, it's important to encourage people of color to lead when it comes to boards and commissions, which is one of the reasons why I'm on the board of the CPOB. It is important that we have a say, and the only way that we can do that is to encourage others. But we have to set a precedence and set an example for doing the right thing, and then reach back and encourage others to join those commissions, join those boards that they have a passion for. And we do need to encourage our youth, the younger, the better. But we can do that through communicating with other commissions and board members who would also like to make sure that when those openings come out, that the word is being spread. And we have other groups like Run Women Run and others that are encouraging people of color to join and run in many capacities, whether it's for office or commissions. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, you both have very creative ideas. We look forward to seeing them implemented. And now we're going to go to question number 7. And Patricia, we'll start with you. What will your role be in helping the city of La Mesa address racism within the community?
Well, this seat was held by Dr. Akilah Weber, who has agreed to endorse me as the person to take this seat. And there's a specific reason why she did it. She did it because I represent what La Mesans look like. I represent who La Mesans are: mothers, grandmothers, wives, someone who has, purchased a home here and is rooted here, someone who's not going to leave. That's a representation of the people that we're talking about. And one of the most serious things that we have to do is calm down the rhetoric and reach across the aisle. We cannot always have our way. And so it's best to let our community see leadership. Leadership comes with reaching across the aisle, coming up with solutions, and then resolving issues. People don't want to see the continuous fight. They want to see resolution and solutions to the issues.
Time. Thank you. Ms. Khan?
Thank you so much, Ahira. Unfortunately, I keep saying this to folks, and it's difficult for, to get the communication across, but I don't think you need to be related to people to help them. I'm not related to the thousands of people I have helped, whether they be refugees or immigrants, whether they be Black or brown or undocumented, whether they be Haitian or whether they be Afghan. It is very important that we understand that civil rights and equity doesn't happen in one vote, in one election, in one policy change, or one resolution. It is an ongoing conversation. And I have dedicated my past 20 years to public service in working in roles to support our communities of color and continuously showing up for our Black siblings, whether it be through the Black Lives Matter events and protests where I was a legal observer, or whether it be representing Black and brown people who have been discriminated against. We continue to fight this fight. And I will do that as well.
Time. Next, we Keep you there, Nejkan. Like many cities in San Diego County, crime has increased in La Mesa from 2020 to 2021. What are your top 2 strategies that you plan on implementing to help reduce crime in La Mesa?
Absolutely. I think that we need to be able to hold our police officers accountable when it comes to responses of what is happening in our streets. I spoke with a local construction business owner right on La Mesa Boulevard, who's a few steps away from the La Mesa Police Department. He had a white collar crime of 2 individuals come in and actually start working at his office and embezzle over $150,000 from his company. When he reported the crime to the La Mesa Police Department, they didn't follow up. We need to be able to have our community members heard and these cases investigated and followed up on. I will absolutely work with Chief Sweeney, who I've known for many years, as well as the rest of the police department and law enforcement and sheriff's department, who I've also worked with, to make sure that we follow up on the cases that haven't been addressed yet, whether it be rape, whether it be assault, or whether it be hate crimes. That is the cornerstone of the work I have led, not just in East County, not just in La Mesa, but in San Diego.
Thank you. Patricia.
Yes, when it comes to criminal justice and working in the capacity as vice chair, we're already addressing those issues. And that's what the independent police auditor was all about at the end of this long road of putting this whole program together and making this board. And they're already hard at work doing investigations, especially within the last 5 years, so that we can get accountability and also transparency. And we're going to continue to go down that path. And I'm going to, do other things to try to work to help with the police department and their communication with our community, especially Black and Brown. What I think that would be the best thing is to focus on how we can meet the community needs. A lot of times people are upset because they're just struggling. They're struggling to pay their bills. They're struggling to, hold on to, paying their rent or their mortgage. And they just need issues addressed that's going to meet those needs and help them get back to work.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Thank you. You all are very passionate about that area. So thank you both. Black and brown children, as both of you have acknowledged, are arrested at higher rates than white children. Those are the statistics. There's no way getting around that. What strategies, Patricia, do you intend to implement between the city and the police department to address these racial disparities that exist with our Black and brown children?
Well, one of the things that we want to do is start bringing in psychologists to help people understand that they have bias. We all have biases. Everyone has biases, but unfortunately, with a lot of biases that come from the police department, they don't even recognize that they are, in fact, racist. And so we have to get down to it and get into training programs that will help them recognize their own bias and then retrain them on how they need to see people. And it comes from the high traffic stops and arrests that are disproportionate in our city. And we are already working to address these issues. And there's many issues. I mean, it's a multi-complicated issue just to deal with all of the things that go on with the police department. And we need the consultants and we need the psychiatrists, we need the therapists to come in and communicate that information.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nejkan?
Thank you for the question. I think that's a wonderful question. I look forward to implementing or introducing quarterly equity forums. I think it's important because it's part of the work that informs how we address issues in the community. You cannot address something you do not know. And one of the things I was able to do this week was go back to the high school I attended, Helix High School, and I got to see, thankfully, my 70-year-old plus AP comparative government teacher, Mr. Geary. And I spoke to several classes about the importance of civil rights work and equity. I think we need to be able to bring more young people, more families, more businesses, and more leaders in the community that are both faith leaders and civic leaders. And that's why I choose to work with so many faith leaders in our community to help address the issue of equity and introduce them to our Black and Brown leaders. That is what I've been doing for 2 years, whether it be through the leaders of the church, whether it be pastors or ministers, or even folks that are just clergy members in and around La Mesa. I've continued to help them understand and connect with our Black and Brown leaders and address issues of equity.
Thank you. Now, keep you there, Meshkan. How can the city and the local school district work together more closely to ensure equity for the children in La Mesa and the neighboring city of Spring Valley?
I love this question, Yahira. Like, this is my favorite because I love working with young people, and because I've mentored so many Black and Brown young civil rights advocates and activists, and I will continue to do so. I think the Equity Forum, as I mentioned in the last question, is an excellent way for children as well as youth and young adults to get involved. All young people have an opinion, especially coming out of this pandemic. They need a place to express themselves and a safe space where they can address the issues that they really truly feel need help with. So whether it be a trans issue at a student at Helix High School, or a young Black woman who is facing discrimination at work or at college, we need to be able to create safe spaces. And I think the Equity Forum, as I've mentioned, a quarterly Equity Forum would be amazing and go a long way to help address these issues and center their voices, like I continue to do in our work as well as on our campaign.
Right, thank you. Patricia?
Yes, the focus that I prefer to go with is we have a new library that was promised to us over 10 years ago. And I met with the Friends of the Library to talk about how we should have our library that we were promised, but that it needed to be something new. It needed to be something that just wasn't filled with books, but filled with programs to help meet the needs of our children and our senior citizens and all the people in between. And one of the ways that we could do that is create programs like when I was struggling as a single parent with my son, he's my oldest, I needed a 6-to-6 program because I had to be at work before my son had to be at school. And so it was really important that I had a place for him to go and someone that could take care of him and then make sure that he got to, kindergarten on time or first grade on time. And just focus on that. You know, a lot of times just focusing on minorities includes minorities if you just focus on the needs of the people.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm letting you all go a little over, but I can't do it too much. I got to respect the process. All right. Next, Patricia, can you share with us the current efforts in La Mesa to create more affordable housing? And what is your plan to ensure availability of affordable housing in the city of La Mesa continues?
Yes, affordable housing should be at every single new project that we have, and to the fullest of the capacity. There is no reason why it should not. And I plan on working with our unions to make sure that happens. We need to make sure that, and we have a lot of new projects coming up in La Mesa, and they're trying to push them out as fast as they get approved. And we have to have people that are on city council that are going to just insist on making sure that we have the fullest amount of affordable housing included on every single one of those projects. and that the support of, that whole process is not mitigated in any way. And I will do that by working with, other council members to ensure that we have the fullest number and that we insist that it be a part of all of their construction. Am I going over?
You're at time, right on time. Thank you, Meshkan.
Thank you so much, Ahira. And these are all wonderful questions. So thank you all for contributing to them. I want to make sure to make it very clear. We can build all the buildings we want, but if we don't make more equitable access to affordable housing, how are people like me going to afford to move into them? There are a lot of homeowners in La Mesa, but the community that's struggling with home ownership is the community that represents and looks like me. Younger families, but at 42, I'm not that young. I have been around and I have been around these blocks, and it is very difficult for somebody like myself to secure a home because they are outrageous in terms of prices right now. I have 3 separate sets of friends that cannot secure a home, and all of them are working, and all of them and their partners are educated. What is wrong with our system when people and their families, individuals and their children cannot be able to afford the place that they live? So we need to be able to increase the percentage of affordable housing units from, even if it's 5%, I think it's about 10%. Let's say it's 10% to 20%. Or even more, because if we build all the buildings we want, but there's not affordable access to the equitable access to it, then what are we really doing? Another thing that we want to implement.
Time. Thank you. Okay. And now I'm going to have you all pivot to a different area, and I'll keep you there, Meshkan. Do you support La Mesa being a sanctuary city?
Absolutely. I support sanctuary cities because as a refugee myself, we are absolutely committed to making sure we welcome refugees. I met Councilmember Jack Hsu, Dr. Janet Castaños, and Jean Carpenter when they introduced the Welcoming Refugees Initiative. This resolution was 6 years ago before the Trump administration, and they were supporting refugees coming to San Diego, coming to La Mesa. We need to take a stance because there are very right-wing conservative people in our community that are still anti-immigrant and anti-refugee. A sanctuary city status is absolutely what we should do. And I will work with our council members, our mayor, Dr. A, as well as the whole of our activist and advocate community to make sure we implement this in our city. Thank you for that question.
Thank you. Look at that. Before time. Patricia, take it away.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for us not to be a sanctuary city. We are right on the border of Mexico. And we have always been a nation that has accepted immigrants, way before I was born. There's always, we have a whole history of immigrants that have come to this country for hundreds of years. And that is a part of America. It is who we are. And we cannot allow anyone to take that away from us. And if there needs to be a sanctuary city, then being a part of San Diego County means that we definitely want to play a part in that and have that being taken care of. I mean, even the Church of Christ, where I'm the member of the Church of Christ, we're in Afghanistan now, helping people and saving people's lives, working with them.
Thank you. What are your 2 top strategies to support small businesses in La Mesa? Patricia, we'll start with you.
Yeah, one of the suggestions that I have been pushing is a redevelopment location, which is located up on El Cajon Boulevard, mostly on the west end, but I'd like to see all of the portion of El Cajon Boulevard be redeveloped into a place where it's bringing back the Renaissance era, where we have the businesses on the bottom and apartment living on the top. hopefully more affordable housing, in addition to condos and townhomes, where we can create an area that's more walkable and bikeable for our community. Another selection, because we do have the village, but we need more opportunities, more options here in the city. And so I'd like to start with the redevelopment of that area. And I think that if you bring businesses into the bottom portions, barbers and hairdressers and restaurants and ice cream places and all kinds of places for people to shop or use utilize services like, the cleaners, et cetera, that we could create other, environments that are walkable and easy for people to, be able to still have that community feel, just a different, section of town that would be enjoyable.
Time. Thank you. Very creative. I like the Renaissance era picture. Meshkan.
Could you please repeat that question, Yahira?
Yes. What are your top 2 strategies to support small businesses in La Mesa?
Awesome. I love that question. So one of the things that we want to do, I've been talking about this since the beginning of our campaign, is introducing BIPOC, our Black, Indigenous, and people of color business initiatives or business grants. We want to improve and we want to increase our BIPOC community in La Mesa and support their businesses, whether it be businesses already established coming to our farmers market or people who are looking to start a business. I think it's critical for us to support them, especially during this pandemic. As a woman who started a civil rights pro bono nonprofit at the beginning of the pandemic, I trust me, it was so difficult to navigate how to be able to manage to stay open throughout this pandemic. So I absolutely want to create a space for more people, as well as I think we're actually considering maybe actually creating community business districts. This is actually something that the city of San Diego does, the city of San Francisco does, the city of Los Angeles does. I have known many community business districts, and so introducing that to our community would really help improve not just El Cajon Boulevard, not just La Mesa Boulevard, not just Lake Murray Boulevard, but all of the wonderful areas that make La Mesa unique. There is no redheaded stepchild of an area for La Mesa. I love all of our community, and I think it's important to see more opportunity for them. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have the Renaissance style and we have community business district. Sounds like La Mesa is going to look different one way or the other. Number 14. Not all city services are available Monday through Friday. As a city council member, how do you plan to address this lack of access to services? And I'll start with Meshkan.
Well, we have a regular schedule of services that are available, but depending on what the services could be, we can revisit how we can do better by rescheduling these services and making them more more accessible to our community. One of the ideas behind this survey, besides looking at how many people are and what the breakdown is of our staff as well as our boards and commissions, but it's also about what are our services really doing. Are they addressing the needs of the community? I think the survey could be used to really identify what we need to work on as a community and increase the accessibility of the resources that are most in demand. I know during the pandemic, a lot of elderly folks had difficulty getting on the phone or getting access to support when it comes to their trash pickup because of what was going on, because of being scared of going outside. So I think it's really important that we do the survey so we see which programs or which resources need to be made more available, and also see what we can do for our community in addressing those issues. And I love and look forward to working on this with our council members when I'm elected.
Thank you. Patricia?
Yeah, we do have a variety of very good services here in La Mesa. But I think that where we lack is communication, people not knowing about the services that we already have. And so I would like to see an increase in communication, ways to communicate. And Meshkan brought up an issue about the phone. And I think that that's true, especially during the pandemic earlier this year, when we were trying to get elderly people to get those appointments for their COVID-19 shots. That became an issue. And I actually worked with the church to help get into the homes of, communicating with them and getting them their appointments. And we actually had to use other family members to help with, stepping in to get appointments because they couldn't figure out how to get the appointments. So again, communication. More communication about the services that we provide. We need to have different ways that we're communicating that. And I do like the idea of doing a survey and trying to find out just what people actually do know and that they are aware of the services that we have and if there's any other needs that we're not meeting at this time.
Thank you, Patricia. And I'll keep you there, Patricia. This next question. As of 2020, year to date, the unemployment rate increased to 7.6%. Actually, it's 2021 year to date. The unemployment rate increased to 7.6% due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Patricia, what are your top 2 strategies to help the unemployment rate decrease back to where it was before the pandemic, which was 3.1%?
Yeah, that's a great question. I had mentioned the Friends of the Library before, and this is another program that I brought up to them that I want them to establish. And that is that, and by the way, this is with a collaboration of business people and educators. One of the needs that we have is that we have jobs of which, for whatever reason, people are either unaware of or they feel that there's not enough pay. But in working with the unions, I have found that they have a huge program where they could take people as long as you have a GED or a diploma, and this could be from 18 and older. You could be, trying to regroup into another type of job that you maybe had before that is no longer working for you. But there good paying jobs, working wages that offer pensions and health care. And that would help meet some of the needs because some of these programs, they actually train you while working and paying you and giving you health care coverage along with pensions. So that's—
Thank you. Okay. We are in time and I know we did start later, but I do want to just be respectful of everyone's time and everyone's schedule here from 12 to 2. So I'm going to be a little more firm in the time. Just keep that in mind. Now I will turn it over to Meshkan.
Could you please repeat that question, Yahira?
Yes. As of 2021 year to date, the unemployment rate increased to 7.6% due to the COVID-19 pandemic. What are your top 2 strategies to help the unemployment rate decrease in La Mesa back to where it was before the pandemic in 3.1?
That's a wonderful question. And honestly, we have a serious epidemic, not just with the pandemic itself, COVID-19, but a lack of jobs. As a work readiness trainer for many years at the International Rescue Committee, where I worked helping refugees in City Heights and El Cajon, many of them actually live in La Mesa. And so I used to encourage folks to be able to get jobs like union paid jobs and training programs that would help support their family. Much of what Patricia just mentioned is what I used to do for years. And I actually am still in contact with our Somali, Afghan, Sudanese clients, and now my community members and supporters on this campaign. And so I think what we need to do is absolutely create more infrastructure around work readiness training. And we can be able to house that in the library or created another entire basically branch of our La Mesa City Council Council website and make sure that we have job opportunities that are expanded to not just city and government jobs, but the jobs that can have training facilities in La Mesa.
Thank you. And Meshkan, we'll keep you there. Do you support future state and local economic relief and protections for immigrant and undocumented families and mixed status families who have been left out of other relief programs?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm absolute supporter of public benefits. As a 20-year active Democrat, one of my first jobs was registering voters in San Diego and La Mesa. And I need to stress to everybody, I have always stood up for our working families, because as the daughter of a woman who worked the night shift for 19 years, I know what it means when my mother comes home at midnight. And growing up to have that struggle, I helped raise my two sisters. One is a mechanical engineer and one just graduated with her dental degree. And so them being much younger than me, I know many other families struggle like we did. And we had no support. We didn't take any public benefits, but I am absolutely in support of making sure our community is able to receive those benefits. And so increasing, whether it be support of the mutual aid fund or resources on our website in terms of support for our undocumented community members or immigrants and refugees, or also
Thank you. Patricia, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, we have to support immigrants, especially illegal immigrants. We need to not only support them with services that are available, but we also need to help them get on the pathway, if they want, to citizenship. And I think that it's been kind of a skewed issue where no one really knows, how do you do this? What is the process? And I think that we could better align that, at least for La Mesa, and help people get in to knowing what that pathway might be for them and whether they want to pursue that or not, so that they can begin that process. Because I think that'll eliminate a lot of abuse that happens. And what I mean by that is people that are end up being subjected to working for instance, construction companies, or they end up being prostituted, unfortunately, and being told that if they don't do these things, that their families will be murdered back home. And so we want to make sure that we are helping those people and getting them freed from that type of enslavement, if you will, and focus.
Thank you. And I believe you're talking about labor trafficking, which is very common with immigrants and undocumented families. Now, then we're going to start wrapping up with our questions. I have two more. Patricia, to whom do you look for or turn to for insight and guidance on issues of concern to Black Americans generally and Black La Mesans specifically?
Wow. Well, first of all, I'm a Christian and I look to God for my guidance. And I've also worked with so many people that, I just have wanted to help in so many different ways. And so when I look to leadership, I looked for the guidance of the Bible to help me help others. And that's what I've been all along. And then, of course, my priority has always been my family. My husband is an educator, was with San Diego Unified for over 33 years. And he happens to be very smart. And so I really lean on him for advice a lot of times, and just his confidence in me that we can continue to go down this road and help others all the time, no matter who, and without any announcement, without anyone even knowing. It's just the people that we help. So just that focus.
Thank you. Meshkan?
Well, as a believer woman, you know, I am a Muslim American, and I know that, of course, my faith helps me in times of crisis and helps guide us all, really. And I look to the Creator as well. But when it comes to the issues facing our community, I look to our community leaders, people like Ismahan Abdullahi, people like Brother Darwin, you know, Darwin Fishman and Buki Dominguez. Whether it depends on the issue. If it's a medical issue, if there's a medical emergency we have to address, then I look towards doctors who are leaders in our community that I continue to work with, whether it be people who are in the civil rights arena or people in the government arena. You know, one of our closest supporters is Speshel Rutledge, and she's working on her doctorate right now. And she's a very good friend of mine and endorsed our campaign. Speshel, I met 7.5 years ago, if you can believe this, when I was part of the San Diego Refugee Forum, which I continue to lead for almost 6.5 years. And Speshel is a mental health expert. And when we're facing a crisis in our community, like the mental health crisis we have right now, people who are actually doing the work and experiences are who I listen to.
Thank you. And I'll keep you there, Meshkan. In what ways have you already shown up for San Diego's Black communities on these issues generally that we have spoken about? But I'm certain throughout this conversation we've had with you, you've answered that question. But any final thoughts of any other ways you've shown up?
Absolutely. And I love this question. And I want to thank all of the members of BAPAC for listening to us today. It is important that we center our Black and Brown leaders and specifically Black and Brown women who are doing the work on the ground. And it is important that we continue speaking to all of them and introducing them to other folks in the community where they can be able to create their influence and grow their influence. And we know that there are so many people in this community that don't know about the wonderful work BAPAC does. They don't know about the wonderful work the Racial Justice Coalition continues to do and the wonderful work Black Lives Matter does. And I continue to work in coalition with our Black-led organizations like Haitian Bridge Alliance, like Mass Pace San Diego and National, like the Racial Justice Coalition, to make sure our equitable issues are addressed. Just like the action that we helped host this past Tuesday, we want to make sure that we center these voices. And it's not about us just showing up in solidarity and making an event. No, we're centering the leaders that do this work, like Ghislaine Joseph. And
all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Patricia?
You know, I've been in San Diego. Like I said, I'm a native. And since I've been married for almost coming up to 32 years. And during that time, my husband was a minister and I was a minister's wife. And, you know, we did a lot of things behind the scenes. And I really believe in helping people, just helping people, no matter who it is, if they need help. I've always found a way to help people. And, you know, I've been around, you know, the church, you know, communicating with people that were in need of help. And you're always going to get it. We're always going to have it. And of course, supporting people of color, number one, for me, an easy thing for me to do, because I know about the struggles. I know about the racism. I'm exposed to it all the time, get beat up all the time when I was working in corporate America and also when I was running our publishing company, you know, just always trying to join together and work with others.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to, at this time, that is our last question of our planned Q&A. And first and foremost, you know, a round of applause for both of you because you came, you joined us, you were unafraid to come and share your thoughts with our audience. So thank you so much. Thank you also for running. You both are women and you're both women of color. As double minorities, you have it harder than the persons who are not in your shoes. So thank you also for being women and women of color who are running. Thank you for your hard efforts in answering all the questions. I know 1 minute is tough. You did your best and we really appreciate your insight. You know, at the end of the day, it's a quilt of everything of what you said. And we hear the worst that echo collaboration, creativity, reaching across the aisles. We heard the Renaissance, we heard community business districts. Clearly, you all have a plan, and we wish you the best of luck. At this time, this is our time that we are going to be ending our time together, and you each are invited to make a 2-minute closing statement. Other than what you have already shared with us, we welcome one more you care to tell us about your past education, training, and lived experiences that makes you uniquely qualified to serve as a City of La Mesa Council member. And at this time, being that Meshkan started with opening statements, I will give Patricia the opportunity to go first for closing statements. And let me just set my timer. And it's 2 minutes, and we're going to do a time because we are definitely going towards the end of the hour. Patricia?
Again, I want to thank BAPAC and all the people that chose to spend their time hearing us today. And I appreciate, having this opportunity. I want you to know that a long time ago when I was coming up, I would ask for to get help with jobs, and people always said, oh, well, you've got to go to, you need to get an education, you need to go to college. Well, I went to college, but when I went to college, I happened to already have my young son with me at the time. And so I had to juggle college and school, and I did that. And got my bachelor's degree in business and marketing. And then again, sometime later, I decided to go to school again and get my master's in organizational leadership. Again, meeting the requests of what certain people decided that I needed to do. And so I've been there, I've done that. And here's the key thing, I've always taught my kids, you got to finish something. Don't start it if you're not going to finish. And so that's what I did. I've finished what I've started, and had a full successful career, both as named as top 1% in the country with AT&T as a sales representative. Being a part of a team that invested $1 million, was 40 of us, and we bought into Southland Title Corporation and ended up selling in 2004 for $95 million. I have been a leader. I am a leader, and I have proven success. Even with the CPOB board, I have been a successful woman for time and time and time again. So I would like to encourage you that if you can support me or vote for me, please support the woman that has been endorsed by Dr. Akilah Weber. And
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I gave you extra time, but I have to be mindful of time. All right, thank you for that passionate closing statement. Meshkan?
Thank you, Ms. Pipkin-Allen. Thank you so much to Ms. Nash and Yahira and everybody who's joined us today and part of BAPAC. I want to urge you to vote for the Democrat who has been an active Democrat for 20 years and has espoused the values of this party, even when I didn't work directly for the Democratic Party. I want you to vote for the person who continues to show up for our Black and brown families in these streets. As a woman who is a civil rights awarded leader, I continue to center our community's voices. When they say leader, a lot of people think that you need to be out in front, but actually leader means you lead from the back. I show up and I listen. I show up and I listen. And I show up again. And no matter how difficult it's been, no matter how bad the year is, and no matter how difficult the crisis, I have continued to show commitment to our Black and brown families. And I will not stop. Regardless of the outcome of this race, I will continue to center our community because I believe that it is young and older and all ages of Black and brown women that will lead our community to not just better equity, but we will create a more equitable future together. And I urge you to vote for the candidate that's been endorsed by the San Diego County Democratic Party and the Sierra Club. And I ask that you visit our website for more information and to see the people that have endorsed us. You can visit our Instagram and Facebook account at Vote Michigan 2021, and I'll put the information in the chat. And I look forward to seeing you all. And please let whoever is interested in running for office, please reach out to us, because the whole point of me running is to make sure that we help and boost the women of color in our community, in specifically East County, because if we don't have representation, nothing matters. So absolutely, thank you so much. I'm humbled to be part of this and thankful to all of our candidates for running, because this is absolutely a difficult thing to do. But I thank you and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. And thank you again to Meshkan and Patricia for your participation and your time. Thank you to our audience for your careful attention. You have been with us all afternoon so far, so thank you. I really wish we had more time so we could hear more of your thoughts and reasoning candidates, but alas, we have to end. There were so many great questions presented to the committee from our members. We did our best to put in as many as we could. We wish we could have asked them all. Thank you in advance for voting in this critical election. And thank you, BAPAC. And again, Ellen Nash and Elise Pippick Allen, you women are phenomenal and have truly put an extraordinary voter education forum together. So with that, I will now turn it over to Ellen Nash for closing remarks.
Wow, I just want to say, first of all, Yahara Ariski, Attorney Yahara Ariski, you have done an amazing job. I don't have very much to say, but just thank you. Thank you, Barry Pollard. Let's respond to that letter and email chat. Thank you to these two wonderful, Dillard and Meshkan. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Meshkan Ofskan. You're amazing. I want to reiterate that this election, actually voters go to the booth November 4th. So I'm going to appeal to the ballot and make sure it's into the ballot box correct. No?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Ms. Nash. It's actually it's been an all mail-in ballot election, and it ends November 2nd. Yeah.
November 2nd. Okay.
There's no polls anywhere in our city. It's all mail-in ballot.
Okay. All mail-in. So you need to get those ballots in the mail by November 2nd, which is a few days from now. Again, complete the ballot. Find it in that stack of mail somewhere, complete that ballot and mail it in. Is there a stamp needed? I don't think there's a stamp needed, right? Just mail the ballot.
Yeah, the envelope's paper.
By November 2nd. That's very important for our La Mesans to vote. I'm sorry I'm not in La Mesa. I live in San Diego, but wow, it would be a tough call. And I'm happy I'm not voting in this election.
Too. We had a question here. Oh, Ellen, we had a question from Abina.
Yes, a question. Abina
had one.
Actually, it wasn't a question, but thank you, ladies. Thank you, Yahari, for what a wonderful forum you conducted. Y'all have to pardon me. I've been working too hard. But
all right, thank you.
I feel the passion for you guys. Patricia, I need you to put your email in there. I was really just clapping for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you,
so
Yahara.
much.
You were wonderful. Right. You added a special professionalism to this whole process.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. You're going to be at the top of our list.
It was a pleasure and a privilege. Thank you both for your kind words.
Thank you
so much.
Yahara, it was so good to see you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for everybody.
Hey, Lori, how are you?
God bless
you. Regina. Everybody's here. Regina's here.
Lori's here. Yes.
Oh, and by the way, I have a couple announcements. Can I give announcements? Can I give announcements? Any announcements? Can I?
2 minutes.
Yeah, okay. I just want to tell you, I am a member of BAPAC Been a member for just about a month or so. So
Yes.
just let y'all know I'm a member. And I'm so glad that I'm a member. I've been learning quite a bit on these meetings that BAPAC holds, and I really value them. And I'm so, so proud to be a member. And also, I want to make an announcement that I am co-chairing for Juneteenth 2022. It's going to be held here in La Mesa. I know it's a ways off, but you know what? We're looking for African-American vendors, especially like restaurants, because we're going to have food, we're going to have music, we're going to have arts, and we want to make sure that we include our African-Americans first. It's the first priority for this event. And so I just ask that you spread the word, let them know that it's Alan Durden and myself. We are the chairing this responsibility. It's a huge effort, but we have the support of the Unified School District on our side. So just want everybody to know it's coming up. It's coming up fast, and we want to make sure that we know about those vendors that would like to participate.
Okay, send the information to me and I'll send it out to our mailing list, Patricia.
Thank you.
Yes, if you're not a member of BAPAC, shame on you. No, please join BAPAC. Go to bapacsc.org. We'd love to have you all as a member.
And
thank you.
I wanted to ask one thing. If people are available, please join us for our walks for the next every Saturday and Sunday for our campaign until the end of the campaign, November 2nd. Thank you so much.
November 2nd.
Thank you, guys. It's been a wonderful meeting today.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
You can see my walks online as well. And I go out every night at 4 p.m. and I walk until it gets dark. Been doing that since May. So walk, knock, and talk. That's what I do.
All right. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Bye-bye. Have a nice weekend.
Bye.